everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a while, couple of weeks since I last spoke to you guys. I've seen a physio, I've been running bits and bobs, going to the gym a lot, and I have a bit of a plan to get back running. So those of you who follow me on Instagram will probably know that I've been struggling to get back running since Race to the Tower, my 85-kilometer ultra that was about 5 weeks ago now, and the reason for that was kind of unknown. It wasn't like a particular injury that I was struggling with, it was more kind of constant general pain but random, and I'm quite used to getting injuries, I'm quite good at dealing with injuries, and so I kind of was a little bit confused because I didn't know what was wrong and I didn't know what I could do to fix it. So I went to go and see a physio, a guy, in fact I spoke to him on Skype, a guy called the Irish Physio Aidan on Instagram, and we've come up with a little bit of a plan to get me back running and strengthen what is essentially tendinopathy or overuse of the tendons, which is really common. It's not a major issue so long as you do something about it and don't keep aggravating it. You may be thinking, why are you out running, Flora? I can still run, and I've cut back my mileage. I'm doing between 20 and 30k a week, so nothing strenuous, and all of those miles pretty much are slow and steady and key for tendinopathy of the kind that I've got, pretty flat. I've not been doing many hills, which means I've not been doing many trails, which has made me really sad. But I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about what my plan is, how I'm going to get back to running, and hopefully, if any of you guys are injured as well, help you out a little bit, because the mindset when you're injured, it can falter a bit and it can be really depressing. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that as well. So just going around my usual docks route, and yeah, it's a really slow run today, just done 1 mile so far, 9 minutes, and it feels good, it feels okay. So the reason I decided to take time out now is because I've been basically training for things since my 5k time trial. I haven't really had more than a few weeks off training or racing between events, which has been great for my fitness, and I don't think I've been fitter than I was sort of for MCC last year and then Race to the Tower this year as well. But that comes at a cost, and for me that cost is the health of my tendons and ligaments in my ankles. So what I've done essentially is trained really hard, but without strengthening specific muscles, or rather tendons, that need to be strengthened in order to run at a high level, high mileage consistently. And I think that's why running's quite difficult to get good at really quickly, because you can build up your cardiovascular fitness in no time, really. You know, 6 weeks of training, you're going to be significantly better than you were 6 weeks earlier. Same with your muscles. If you're built for it, your muscles can improve really quickly. But I think tendons, at least this is my experience, tell me if you felt the same, but tendons and ligaments, they take a long time to get used to whatever you're doing. And basically, if the load outweighs their strength, then they're just going to get more and more sore. And so mine's my tibialis posterior. That's the one that hurts the most, although also my perineal tendon on my other foot really hurts. And I think that's not any particular injury, it's basically just consistent overloading slightly over the space of almost 1.5 years, and that's why it's been sore. So my plan now is a consistent blend of strength training, physiotherapy exercises, and bits and bobs of running consistently. And the great thing about this injury is that I can keep running, because the problem is if you stop running, the muscles and tendons that are sore also get weak, which means that when you go back to running, you're almost back to square one with weak tendons, and then you're likely to get the same issue again. So I'm allowed to run, and that's great for me, because otherwise I think I'd go mad. And I really hate the idea of starting from square one. Which brings me to the point of mindset when you're injured. So it's a question I get asked a lot, like, I'm out of running at the moment, how can I stay positive, motivated to do my training and get better? So I'm going to talk about that as we go around this run. Two miles done, 8:46 for that last mile, sped up a bit. So my first tip is to visit a physio. Of course, I'm not going to give you any tips without saying that first. Whatever I say on this vlog, please do not do it unless you've spoken to a physio who has agreed with me. That's because my physio says I can still run. Your physio, you might have a different injury. Your physio says, don't run because it'll aggravate your injury, and maybe if you run, you're going to cause a stress fracture or a permanent issue. So please don't run if your physio says not to run, no matter what I say, okay? They can also be really helpful. They can say, don't worry, you can still run a little bit like mine did, but just not as much. And it's really useful to have that guidance, because one of the things I find worse when I'm injured is not knowing what I can and can't do, and that making me just way more stressed, because I feel like whatever I do, it's making things worse. If you've got the physio's go ahead to do X, Y, Z, you're gonna feel much better about it. My second tip is to incorporate your physio or strength training into your running program. It can feel really overwhelming to just be adding a whole load of extra training sessions into what you already think is quite a busy training week. But actually I find incorporating it into whatever I'm already doing makes me much more likely to do it, and also makes me resent it less, because rather than feeling like I'm taking away from my running time or my running progress, or, you know, getting fitter in general, I feel like I'm contributing to it and working really hard to reach my goals, even if that goal isn't running 85 kilometers, but it's instead being able to single leg heel lift my own body weight. So your goals might change, but if you think of it all as one training program, then it's going to seem less annoying to have to go out and do your physio sessions, because it's all just part of your standard training, and it shouldn't be an optional extra. Strength training should be part of your training, so if it's not, stick it in there. My third tip is to analyse what went wrong, and hopefully you've already done this with a physio, but it can be helpful to prevent future situations that go the same way, to look back at your training over the last few months, realise when your niggles started and what you did when it started, because chances are, unless you have an acute injury because of an accident or something, you felt a niggle before it turned into an injury, and you kept, likely, running the same volume when it was just a niggle, and that is likely what turned it into an injury. And as runners, we are notoriously bad at taking time off before we need it. But actually, that could be the difference between a couple of weeks of lower mileage training and 6 weeks out from training entirely. And by analysing it, you can reduce the likelihood of it happening again. And I think all of us would like to get injured less. Did you know, fun fact, not very fun fact, that around 60% of runners are injured each year? So chances are you're injured once a year or once every 2 years. So yeah, if we could reduce that by actually thinking, how did this injury happen? How can I reduce it in the future? We'd all be much happier and more pain-free. My fourth tip is to work on weaknesses. Obviously, if you're doing physio, you're probably working on weaknesses anyway. But if you're still allowed to run, work on things that you wouldn't otherwise work on if you were working towards a particular goal. Is it working enough? For me, that's things like running whilst keeping my heart rate down, nose breathing. My form definitely suffers when my goal is to be fast. So I do this sort of catwalk style running where I put one foot in front of the other, and it means that I load my tendons more, and so I'm working on that right now. Try not to run like I'm on a catwalk. That was also incidentally one of the reasons why my T-band syndrome kept coming back. It's because bad running form. So now that I'm doing physio and not very much running, I can focus a lot more on running right and not just running fast. So yeah, that's my fourth tip. Hope it helps. So my fifth and final tip is a bit of a difficult one, but I believe in you guys. It is to enjoy the time off. I mean, running takes a lot of time out of our week, and whilst presumably it's something that you really enjoy doing, it cannot be the only thing that you really enjoy doing. And when we're deep in the deepest, darkest depths of a training program, chances are you're wishing for more free time and for less running. And here you are with more free time and less running, and you're complaining about it. I'm speaking as much to myself as all of you guys. If you work really hard at it, this is possible. It's to enjoy it. Think to the future where you're going to be training again, you're going to be running, you're going to be suffering, you're going to be working really hard, and you're going to be tired all the time. And you're going to be thinking, God, I wish I enjoyed that time off rather than resenting it for literally every single second. And that's just about mindset. That's nothing to do with, you know, how well your physio is going, how bad your injury is. That is pure mindset. And I'm not saying it's easy. I think it's really difficult. But working at it can make it a lot better, and it'll make your time pass quicker as well. Whether you've got 2 weeks off, 6 weeks off, 6 months off, changing your mindset is going to make more of a difference than I think most other things. So yeah, that's my fifth and final tip of how to cope with injuries mentally and physically. They are all as much to remind myself as to remind you guys, but I hope it helps some of you as well. I've done 4 miles so far. I'm tired. I've not run that far this week, but my fitness has definitely gone down. But that's okay, because I've been at the gym and my strength has definitely gone up, and I've been doing leg curls and leg extensions, and my quads, oh, they're looking strong. So you know, there are some positives in there as well. I'm doing the boring bit of the run back now. As you can see, it's not very picturesque. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'm still running, just not very much at the moment. If I do my physio well, I should be back to it soon. So don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a comment, let me know if you're injured at the moment, make me feel less alone please, and leave your top tips as well. I'm sure it will help lots of other people. That is it for this week's vlog. Thanks again for watching, and bye. See ya, bye.